After my house was devastated by a tornado, I discovered my son's hidden desire for privacy, and I knew I had to face something bigger than myself. The air was thick with the scent of splintered wood, and the distant hum of chainsaws clearing the wreckage. My heart felt like a lead weight in my chest. Standing amid the chaos of what used to be our home, I glanced over at Jake, our lives turned upside down, our laughter shattered like glass. The boy who once thrived on connection now seemed to vanish behind a wall of silence, retreating deeper into the ruins of his home and heart. One moment, Jake was helping me salvage what we could, and the next, he was lost in the shadows of our demolished living room. Starred blueprints of hope hung on his brow, a storm brewing beneath the surface of his usual exuberance. As he sifted through the debris, I felt an ache one I could not fully grasp. Had the tornado ripped out more than our roof? Was it erasing my son's spirit? My breath caught as I attempted to bridge the gap. "You okay, buddy?" My voice felt fragile, echoing hollow in the stillness. He barely looked up, a soft "yeah" barely escaping his lips. The silence that followed was deafening. What had happened to my vibrant son who would charge through life with reckless enthusiasm? An invisible thread had snapped between us, and I feared what would become of us if it remained that way. Weeks passed, filled with neighbors rallying together, their kind hearts serving up potlucks in our honor. Community spirit flickered like the summer sun overhead, but I couldn't escape my gnawing worry. Jake grew quieter, often locking himself in his room for hours at a time. "Everyone's here for you, Jake," I urged one evening, hoping to ignite the spark I once saw. "We need to lean on them." He shrugged, a gesture that felt like a door slamming shut. And there I stood, yearning to be the steadfast protector, yet unsure if pushing him for connection would only push him further away. With each meal shared, laughter echoing through our neighborhood, I felt myself unravel with worry. My heart wanted to protect him from pain, while Jake wrestled with feelings of inadequacy after watching everything we built come crashing down. Then one day I stumbled upon something. Glistening with ambition, Jake sought solace in sketches and ideas that bloomed in the confines of his room. Hours were consumed as he crafted plans for a community garden, a place that would offer both nourishment and healing. My heart swelled at the thought of him channeling his hurt into something beautiful, yet doubts loomed in the background. Should I let him follow this path alone? Or should I dig deeper into the chasm growing between us? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the garden began to take shape, so did something else. Hopeful whispers of redemption threaded through our lives. Each day we worked side by side while inside confusion and love battled for dominance. Would Jake find his voice again? Would I risk everything to entangle our paths, only to discover a rift that couldn't be mended? The clouds rolled overhead, thick and heavy. Another storm loomed on the horizon, one where emotions surged and healing remained just out of reach. Would we be able to navigate it together, or would we remain two distant islands in a sea of despair? Couldn't shake the feeling that I was losing him. We spent hours planting seeds and turning the dirt, but every evening I found him retreating further into solitude. I watched as his laughter faded, replaced by a quiet determination that both surprised and worried me. Was he really discovering himself, or was he simply burying his pain beneath layers of soil and leaves? One afternoon, while trimming the edges of the new garden, I spotted Jake at the far end, kneeling next to a small patch of sunflowers. They stood tall and bright, reaching for the sky. Something about their resilience mirrored what I longed to see in my son. As I approached, I noticed he was sketching again, deep in thought. The pencil danced across the page with an intensity one hadn't seen before. "Jake," I said softly, not wanting to startle him. As he looked up, those wide blue eyes, usually so expressive, seemed clouded over. "What are you working on?" He hesitated, glancing at the sketches spread out before him. "Just ideas for the garden. I want it to be special," he finally replied. I could hear a hint of pride in his voice, but also an underlying sadness that tugged at my heart. "That's great. I think it's really special already, I encouraged, trying to keep the warmth in my tone. My mind raced with thoughts of how to engage him further, how to connect these moments of creation with healing. Maybe we could invite some neighbors to help us? Could be fun to work together. He frowned, and I saw the spark of protest ignite within him. I don't want to. It's my thing, Mom. His words felt like a wall being slammed down. I understand, Jake. I want to be part of it too. He scoffed, turning away to trace the outline of a tomato plant he had drawn. You don't get it. This is mine. A heavy silence rested between us, filled with the clamor of unspoken thoughts. I wanted to push forward to remain part of this creative process, yet his need for independence was evident. I took a deep breath, knowing that forcing the issue would just push him further away. Okay, I get it. I'll back off, I replied, my voice steadier than I felt. But a nagging worry hung in the air. Days turned into weeks, and his sketches began to multiply. The garden flourished, but so did the distance between us. Each morning I woke up to find him disappearing into that sacred space, lost in his thoughts. I felt like a bystander in a show I had once starred in. Then one evening, as dusk wrapped around us, I noticed a new flower rising in the middle of the garden, bright, bold, and entirely unexpected. It was a wildflower, blooming in defiance of order, much like Jake himself. Watching it sway in the wind, I made a decision. I would join him in this new adventure, even if it meant stepping aside sometimes to give him room to bloom. That night, I gathered my courage, inching closer to his isolated world. Jake, I said gently as I found him sketching again, maybe you could show me what you've created? I'd love to see more. He paused, glancing up from the page with cautious curiosity. I held my breath, waiting for him to either retreat or let me in. The rush of hope mingled with fear sent shivers down my spine. What if he still wanted to keep me out? After a moment, he slid the sketch over to me, revealing intricately outlined plans for benches and flowers that would bloom in unison. It's not finished, he muttered. It looks amazing, I whispered, feeling warmth spread through my chest. Can we work on it together? A flicker of something passed across his face. Was it distrust, or the beginning of a smile? I couldn't tell, but my heart raced. Maybe, he replied slowly, that single word hanging in the air like a promise. As we sat there, the horizon darkened, and I could feel the storm brewing again. Would this shared moment lead us toward a new beginning? Or would it expose deeper fissures? The questions loomed, and I knew the answer was just out of reach. But for the first time in a while, my fears felt lighter. Perhaps this garden would not only grow flowers but also roots that could bind us back together. What would happen next as we tended to this garden of hope? As the days slipped by, I found myself more drawn to the garden than ever. Each morning I would wake up ready to dive in, the scent of earth and green lingering in my thoughts. I found comfort there, even while Jake remained in his own world. He worked on his sketches with fervor, his mood fluctuating like shadows in the sunlight. Some days he would share ideas, while on others he would retreat into silence, a thin barrier forming once again between us. One late afternoon, the sun dipped low, casting a golden hue over the blossoming petals. I watched as Jake meticulously arranged pots of herbs along the walkway, his concentration so intense that he didn't notice me. The garden had become his sanctuary, and somehow I felt like an intruder. But I steeled myself and approached him. Hey, I thought we could plant some daisies in that empty spot over there. They could really brighten things up, I suggested, my voice light as I pointed to an unplanted patch. He didn't look up, only continued arranging the pots. I don't want daisies. They're too predictable, he muttered, frustration creeping into his tone. I felt my heart sink at his words. Predictable? Had I become predictable too? I wanted to say something to change his mind, but the moment felt fragile. Instead, I took a step back, watching him as he immersed himself further into his work. Maybe this garden was not just ours. Maybe it was truly his. Days turned into a blur of sunshine and watering cans, and amidst the laughter of children playing in the neighborhood, I tried to find ways to feel included while respecting his boundaries. I began planting flowers in my little corner of the garden, creating a vibrant patch that would serve as my own retreat, while silently hoping Jake would eventually share more with me about his plans. One morning, as I pulled weeds from my section, I heard him humming. The sound caught my attention like a lighthouse beam cutting through fog. I looked up to see him sketching under a brilliant blue sky, the lines moving fluidly on his paper. My heart swelled with the realization that he was finding joy. "Jake, that looks fantastic," I exclaimed without thinking, my excitement spilling over. He looked up, eyebrows raised, a shy smile breaking through the usual mask of seriousness. "Really? You think so?" "I do. You've captured so much life in that drawing." "It's beautiful," I said. Feeling a barrier crack just a little, he glanced down, tracing over the vibrant lines with his fingers, and I stepped closer, encouraged by his openness. "You're turning this garden into something unique, something all your own. I love that." Taking a deep breath, he finally said, "I just wanted to create something that was mine away from everything else." It was a revelation that struck deep. His desire for independence wasn't just a rejection of me, it was a powerful expression of who he was becoming. "I respect that, Jake. And I want to support you. We can create our own spaces together." For a heartbeat, the air shimmered with unspoken understanding. He looked at me, really looked, and for the first time in ages I felt the distance between us shrink. "Okay," he said slowly, a new determination etched in his voice. "Let us work on this together. But I need you to promise me something." "What is that?" I asked, leaning in, my heart beating faster. "Promise me you won't change anything without asking first. I want my space, but I also want to share this with you." His request felt like both a challenge and an invitation. I nodded, the weight of my promise settling in. "You have my word." As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, I felt a glimmer of hope. Perhaps this garden, with all its blooming potential, would heal us in ways we could only begin to imagine. But as we worked side by side, a distant rumble echoed through the air. Was it thunder? Or perhaps the whisper of an approaching storm? The sense of calm enveloping us shifted, and I couldn't help but wonder what upheavals lay ahead. Would our newfound connection withstand whatever was coming next? The moment Jake finished his sentence, the sky above us shifted dramatically. A dark cloud rolled in, heavy with rain and tension. The air was electric, charged with an impending storm that felt all too fitting for our fragile moment. "Should we finish for today?" I asked, scanning the horizon where ominous clouds loomed. But Jake shook his head, determination flickering in his eyes. "No, I want to get this last section done. I can feel it just clicking today." I stifled a smile. There he was, that spark of creativity I had missed. We set to work, our hands busy and our thoughts momentarily silenced, though the storm rumbled ever closer. Each pot of herbs we arranged together felt like a small victory, a defiance against the chaos threatening our day. But minutes later, the first drops of rain fell like little reminders that the day was far from over. With each raindrop, uncertainty threaded itself back into our quiet moment. Between planting marigolds and securing the herb pots, I couldn't shake the immenseness of Jake's earlier request. He needed his space, but how could I balance my need for connection with his need for solitude? As we scrambled to gather tools and cover our newly planted flowers, the wind picked up, whipping through the garden like a wild animal. My hair flew around my face and I stumbled slightly, laughing nervously as I tried to catch my balance. "Careful. We don't need injuries on top of everything else," Jake shouted over the tumult, his voice almost lost in the howling wind. Once we managed to shove everything under the awning of the porch, the storm was upon us. Rain poured in sheets, hammering down in relentless bursts. We stood there, breathless and rain-soaked, and for a second, I saw him, this beautiful creative spirit who had invited me into his world while still so fiercely guarding it. "Wow," I breathed, still catching fragments of joy amongst the chaos. "Feels like we're in a movie." He shook his head, but a smile broke through. "A crummy movie that's going to ruin the garden." "I think it just adds to the character," I replied, teasingly nudging his shoulder. I could feel a connection tugging between us, fierce and palpable in the storm's energy. "Maybe you're right," he said, lowering his voice as the rain drummed louder against the roof. I want this place to be perfect, you know?" "I get that," I said softly, "but it's okay to let it be a little messy sometimes. That's where the magic happens." As the rain began to ebb, revealing a glistening world soaked in warmth and light, I turned to see his expression shift. "Do you think that maybe we could make this garden our spot? No more hiding?" My heart raced. Did he mean it? It felt like an invitation wrapped in hope. "I do love that, Jake. I do really love that." Thunder rumbled faintly in the distance, still lurking, and for a moment, it seemed as if we were teetering on the edge of something monumental. Yet as I stepped tentatively toward him, I wondered what would happen when the sun returned. Was I ready for the reality that comes after vulnerability? The thought churned anxiously in my mind, but as I stood there, filled with uncertainty yet also thrilling hope, I couldn't help but feel we were just beginning to scratch the surface of everything this garden and our connection could bring. Just as we caught each other's eye, the wind shifted again, causing the old oak tree nearby to creak ominously. "What else does the storm have in store for us?" I whispered, glancing nervously toward the darkening sky. Whatever was next, I could almost feel it hovering just at the edge of our awareness. But what I didn't expect was the revelation that would change everything. The rain faded to a light drizzle, and just as I thought the worst had passed, the clouds darkened again. A low rumble echoed through the garden, but this time it felt different, almost like a pulse in sync with my racing heart. Jake stepped closer, wiping rain from his forehead with the back of his hand. His gaze shifted to mine, as if searching for something unspoken. "You really think we can make this our place? No more hiding?" I nodded, trying to mask the sudden nervous flutter in my stomach. "Yeah, it makes sense. This is where we both feel alive." The mention of vulnerability hung in the air, thick as the humidity surrounding us. I wanted to believe we could carve out a space that was truly ours, one where the shadows of the past didn't follow. One where we could embrace our imperfections. But somehow it also felt like standing on a cliff, peering into unknown depths that a sharp gust of wind whipped around us. Jake squinted against the sudden chill, his expression shifting to something more serious. "There's something I've been wanting to tell you," he began, hesitating as if the words were choking him. Before I could respond, the old oak tree creaked ominously again, and I instinctively took a step closer to him. "Whatever it is, you can share it," I encouraged gently. He took a deep breath, the kind that suggested weighty secrets carried for too long. "It's about this garden. And me. And us." His eyes locked with mine, and I felt every worry and regret pulse between us like the distant thunder. I nodded, urging him on. "Go on. I think the reason I've been so guarded is that I'm terrified someone will see the real me, the messy parts, the parts I'm still working on," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. A wave of understanding washed over me. I could see the walls he had built around himself. "You don't have to be perfect, Jake. You can just be you." He shook his head, a faint smile attempting to break through the clouds in his eyes. "But what if that isn't enough? What if you see the chaos and you decide to walk away?" The weight of his worry pressed down on me, and I easily imagined the fear he was wrestling with. I reached out and took his hand in mine, grounding myself as much as him. "That's the beauty of it, isn't it? We're both a little chaotic. It's part of being human. We're not perfect, and that's okay." A thoughtful silence enveloped us as we stood there in the rain's aftermath, hands intertwined. The world felt suddenly tranquil despite the looming gray above. Just then, a flash of lightning pierced the sky, and I instinctively flinched, gripping his hand tighter. He squeezed back, and our eyes met with a shared understanding that hinted at something deeper than just this moment. "I needed to hear that," he admitted, his voice softer now. The storm seemed to drape around us like a comforting blanket, hiding us from the outside world. In that instant, I realized I was ready to embrace whatever came next, storms or sunshine. But just as I opened my mouth to say something more, a loud crash echoed from the direction of the old oak tree. Together, we turned to see a branch had snapped, crashing down just a few feet away from us, a jarring reminder of nature's unpredictability. "What the hell?" Jake exclaimed, stepping protectively in front of me. As my heart thundered in my chest, I felt it, then a rush of adrenaline mingling with the thrill we both found in this wild connection. The storm might have thrown unforeseen chaos into our lives, but maybe it was the storm that would clear the way for what was to come. What was that? I wondered aloud, heart pounding not just from fright, but excitement too. Jake's expression turned serious again as he stared into the thick trees, the tension in his shoulders returning. "Whatever it is, it feels like it's just getting started." The dark clouds in the sky seemed to swirl ominously, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we were on the brink of something far more significant than we had imagined. In that moment, curiosity and uncertainty coiled tightly together, and I couldn't help but wonder what other revelations lay hidden in the storm. The thunder rolled again, louder this time, a deep rumble that seemed to shake the air around us. Jake looked over his shoulder, his body tense, like a coiled spring ready to unleash. I could feel my heart racing, uncertainty mixing with a spark of exhilaration. Something was brewing, and it wasn't just the storm. Should we check it out? I asked, my voice wobbly but laced with curiosity. The thrill of the unknown beckoned like a siren's call. Jake hesitated, glancing at me with a mix of apprehension and inherent bravery. Yeah, let us do this. Together. I bit my lip, my stomach fluttering. Together. There was a weight to those words, a promise that gave me courage as we stepped cautiously toward the old oak tree, still looming strong despite the ferocity of the storm. The air was thick with the scent of wet earth and leaves, but there was another layer, an electric tension that crackled as we approached. As we neared the spot where the branch had fallen, I couldn't help but notice the chaotic beauty that surrounded us. The leaves shimmered under the fading light, glistening droplets of rain clinging to them like tears. It felt surreal, caught between danger and the allure of discovering something profound hidden in the chaos. Then I spotted it, a small, weathered box partially buried in the mud, its edges worn and rusted. My curiosity piqued. I knelt down, brushing away wet earth and broken twigs to reveal more of its surface. Jake, come look at this, I called, excitement bubbling over. He came closer, furrowing his brow as he leaned down beside me, careful to avoid the muddy puddles. What is it? I don't know, but it looks so old. I ran my fingers along the top, feeling the rough texture. What do you think is inside? Jake's eyes sparkled with intrigue. Only one way to find out, right? Together we tried to pry the lid open, but it resisted. It's locked, he said, glancing around as if searching for a tool we could use. Here, let me try something. I wedged my fingers along the edge, digging a bit deeper, and with one final push, the lid popped open, revealing its secrets. Inside, a collection of trinkets lay nestled in dark velvet. A tarnished locket, a small compass, and a folded piece of parchment. The locket caught the light, reflecting the dim glimmers that peeked through the thickening clouds. I held it up, studying it closely. This belonged to someone special, don't you think? Jake nodded, his face serious yet mesmerized. Yeah, it feels significant. With trembling fingers, I reached for the parchment and carefully unfolded it. The handwriting was elegant yet faded. 2 words leaping off the page that sent a shiver down my spine. Find me. The note was clearly a call to action. A cryptic message that seemed to pull us in with its weight. What do you think it means? I said, a twinge of fear tinged with excitement in my voice. Jake looked deep into my eyes, his expression sudden and intense. I think it means we're not just uncovering an old box. Maybe this is leading us to something. Or someone. Maybe even ourselves. The rain began to intensify again. But it felt almost refreshing now, like it was washing away our fears, giving us clarity. The storm was no longer just an external force, but an internal challenge too. What happens next? I asked, feeling the thrill of adventure coursing through me. Jake grinned, a spark igniting between us. I guess we'll have to follow the clues, but where will they lead us? As we began to gather our things, the clouds seemed to swirl faster above, echoing my thoughts. The uncertainty of what lay ahead thrummed through me, merging with hope and trepidation alike. I couldn't help but wonder if this discovery was just the beginning. What awaited us in the depths of this mystery? And just how far were we willing to go to uncover the truths that lay hidden? I pressed the parchment against my chest, the words "find me" still whispering in my mind like a challenge. My heart raced with unspoken possibilities, yet a layer of uncertainty shrouded my thoughts. Should we go back? I asked, glancing at Jake, half hoping he would say yes. The weather outside was taking a turn for the worse, and a deep rumble of thunder echoed behind us, reminding us of the urgency. Jake shook his head slowly, determination etched in his features. No, we can't leave this behind. Whatever this means. It feels important. I nodded, fueled by his resolve. Together we stepped away from the oak tree, the rain drenching us to the skin, invigorating and chilling all at once. I could feel the weight of a hidden purpose propelling us forward. Look, I exclaimed, pointing toward an area ahead. Through the torrential rain, a flicker of light danced among the trees, accompanied by a strange melody carried by the wind. It was ethereal, almost haunting. Do you see that? Jake squinted, his expression shifting from excitement to caution. Could be anything. We have to be careful. The allure of the light tugged at me, pulling me forward through the darkening woods. I took a deep breath, focusing on the rhythmic patter of raindrops against my skin. Together we navigated the creaking branches and slick roots. With each step, the melody grew louder, weaving around us like an enchanting spell. I felt both exhilarated and terrified. What if it's dangerous? I whispered, my voice barely audible over the storm. Jake squeezed my hand tightly, grounding me. We'll face it together, remember? Whatever it is, we can handle it. His words rekindled the earlier sense of bravery, and I found strength in knowing we were in this together. Finally, we reached a small clearing where the light burst through the trees. In front of us stood an old run-down cabin, its windows glowing with a warm, inviting light despite the tempest outside. The music swelled, notes weaving through the air like whispers. There was an irresistible pull to it. Should we go inside? I asked, my heart pounding. Yeah. Let us see what's going on, Jake replied, surprisingly calm considering the stakes. We approached, stepping cautiously onto the creaking porch. The door was slightly ajar, swaying gently as if encouraging us to enter. I hesitated for just a moment, feeling the storm's fury in the back of my mind, before pushing it open. Inside, the cabin had a rustic charm. Shelves lined with dusty books and odd trinkets adorned the walls. A fire crackled in the corner, mirroring the storm outside. But it was the figure sitting in an armchair that took my breath away. An old woman, her gray hair pulled back tightly, looked up from her book with eyes that bore wisdom, yet were strangely familiar. Welcome, she said, her voice strong despite her frail appearance. I've been expecting you. I exchanged glances with Jake, my heart thudding in my chest. You were expecting us? I stammered, the words sounding foreign and unreal. Of course, she replied with a knowing smile. You are here for the compass, aren't you? My mind flared with questions, but before I could gather my thoughts, she leaned forward, her gaze piercing. You both have a purpose to fulfill. The storm is merely the beginning. A cold chill ran down my spine. There was so much more to uncover. What do you mean? But before she could answer, a loud crash shook the cabin, and the lights flickered ominously. The air around us thickened, the storm outside raging even fiercer. Things are about to get complicated, Jake breathed, gripping my hand tightly. What did the old woman know? And what could the compass possibly lead us to? As my heart raced, I knew we were teetering on the edge of something monumental. With the storm howling behind us, we were on the brink of a revelation that could change everything. What did we truly seek, and how far would we go to find it? The old woman straightened in her chair, her presence commanding despite the chaos swirling around us. The compass, she began, her voice as steady as the flickering flames, is more than just a tool. It is a guide, a symbol of direction in both the physical and spiritual realms. What do you mean? I asked, still grappling with the weight of her words and the sudden crash of thunder outside. As if nature itself echoed my uncertainty, Jake's grip on my hand tightened, and I could feel the warmth radiating from him despite the chill in the air. He leaned slightly closer, mirroring my curiosity and concern. The compass will lead you to what you seek, but it also reveals the truths you hide from yourselves, she said softly, her eyes sparkling with an uncanny light. Both of you have desires, fears, and doubts wrapped in this journey. Uncovering them will be just as crucial as the destination. What if we're not ready for that? I whispered. The thought of diving into concealed emotions made my stomach twist. The woman nodded knowingly. You may not feel ready, but the storm outside reflects your inner turmoil. It is a catalyst. The answers you seek are often found where we least expect them. Jake stepped forward as the wind howled outside. What do we need to do? How does this work? Every compass has a needle, but it requires a question to point toward. You must decide what your true desire is. Do you seek knowledge, courage, a connection with one another? Once you discover your heart's desire, the compass will guide you, the old woman explained, her voice warm and unwavering. As I absorbed her words, the fire crackled, casting shadows that danced on the walls like flickering spirits. The weight of our uncertainty hung in the air, palpable and thick. Do you have that question? Jake asked, turning his gaze toward me, and I felt both the burden and the intimacy of the moment. I don't know, I admitted, my voice trembling. What if I question the very thing I thought I wanted? Fear of truth is often what holds us back, she answered knowingly. But remember, the heart yearns to be free. Do not let the storm of doubt drown your voice. The wind howled louder, and for a moment, everything felt unreal. The dark trees outside swayed, and I could hear the whispers of the past echoing in my mind. The parchment in my pocket felt heavier, as if it were pulling me toward something greater. Suddenly the lights dimmed, casting an eerie glow over the room. You have to decide, and quickly, the old woman admonished. The storm reflects choices, and choices are not given time for hesitation. What if we choose wrong? I replied, a rush of panic swelling in my chest. Then you will learn, she replied. But the compass does not lead you astray. Trust yourselves. The moment hung heavy with possibility and fear, causing the air to thrum with tension. I took a deep breath, squeezing Jake's hand tighter. I could feel our shared pulse, a rhythm of courage. Jake stepped forward. All right, let us ask the question. Together. I hesitated for only a moment, summoning my courage, and then I nodded, our eyes locking with determination. Who are we, and what do we truly desire? We breathed in unison, and at that instant the world around us seemed to shift. The old woman smiled, and a soft breeze filled the room, fluttering the curtains and enveloping us in its embrace. Now let the compass show you the way. Just then the cabin trembled as a blinding light erupted from the mantel, illuminating the room with a fierce brilliance. Wind howled around us, and the compass gleamed, beckoning, vibrating with energy. What is happening? I yelled over the noise, fear and excitement surging through me. It's leading us. Jake shouted, his voice a blend of awe and urgency. Follow it. As we plunged into the light, I realized we were stepping into something far beyond a mere journey. The storm had awakened questions we couldn't ignore, and answers awaited on the other side. But what awaited us there? Would we find the truth we desperately sought, or would we uncover secrets that could tear us apart? The blinding light enveloped us completely, and I felt like I was being pulled through a tunnel, the world sliding away in a swirl of colors and sensations. My heart raced as I grasped Jake's hand tighter, clinging to the one familiar amidst the chaos. With a sudden jolt, the light faded, and we found ourselves standing in a vast ethereal landscape. It was breathtaking, an endless field of flowers shimmering in colors I had never seen before. The air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming petals, and a gentle breeze brushed against my skin, soothing yet invigorating. Where are we? I whispered, fear mixed with wonder as I took in our surroundings. This must be where the compass has led us, Jake said, his eyes wide with amazement. But how do we find what we're looking for? The flowers at our feet began to sway, and as they did, I felt a strange pull deep within me, as if they were inviting us to explore further. I stepped forward, instinctively drawn toward a shimmering blossom that stood out amid the others. Jake followed, his steps hesitant but curious. Suddenly, the blossoms glowed brighter, illuminating a path before us. It was as if the field sensed our presence and was revealing secrets just for us. Look, I pointed, my voice barely a whisper. That way. As we walked, the scene around us began to shift. The vibrant colors blurred, and suddenly we were standing in a cozy living room. I recognized it immediately. It was our home, just as it was before the storm had ripped it apart. Why are we here? I asked, confusion swirling inside me. Maybe it's showing us something we need to confront, Jake suggested, his brow furrowed. The scene shifted again, and there in the corner was my son Oliver sitting alone on the couch. He was drawing, utterly absorbed in his work. I felt a rush of warmth mixed with sorrow as memories flooded my mind. He loved this spot, I said, a lump forming in my throat, but my heart sank as I observed Oliver's furrowed brow, the way he seemed to withdraw into himself. It felt so real, like I could reach out and touch him, but he wasn't aware of us. We were mere shadows in his world. What is he drawing? Jake asked, leaning closer. As if summoned by the question, Oliver paused and flipped his sketchbook around to reveal a series of detailed images: boxes, walls, strong doors. The drawings spoke of confinement, separation, and a desire to be alone. We never really talked about this, I murmured, my voice tinged with regret. He needs his space, but do we give him that? Jake asked, his tone soft. Is it right to let him build these walls? The images twisted in my mind. Wasn't I the one who always longed for connection? Yet here was Oliver seeking privacy, a desire I hadn't fully grasped. Maybe we've been so focused on our needs that we overlooked his, I admitted, a shiver crawling down my spine. As I looked into Oliver's drawing, the colors shifted again, and emotional turbulence filled the air. I understood now that the compass had brought us here not just for answers, but to face the deeper truths within our family. Do we help him break down his walls, or do we respect his boundaries? I asked, panic creeping in as I sought clarity. Before Jake could respond, the scene shattered like glass, and we were plunged back into darkness. I gasped, squeezing Jake's hand as fear gripped me. Would the answers lead us toward understanding or further divide us? And in that moment of uncertainty, a single word echoed in the void: choose. What would our decision reveal? Where would it guide us next in this journey of truth? The darkness began to fade, replaced slowly by radiant light, streaming through an expanse of soft clouds. I felt an unexpected peace wash over me as we emerged into a new world, vibrant and alive, as if we were standing at the edge of time itself. Jake and I stood together, hands clasped tightly. What just happened? He murmured, his amazement tinged with confusion. I think we were shown what our priorities truly are, I replied, my voice steadying as clarity began to unfold in my mind. This is about us, about Oliver, and understanding each other in ways we've neglected. The air around us shimmered, and a new scene formed: an open garden bursting with bright colors. It was alive with laughter and vibrant life. Jake's eyes widened and he pulled me forward. It's our garden, he exclaimed. Every flower, every patch of green mirrored our hard work and determination. And there in the center stood Oliver, surrounded by other children, his walls forgotten. He was laughing, fully engaged, the way I remembered him from before the storm. Look at him, I whispered, marveling at the sight. He has found joy. Jake squeezed my hand, his face alight with hope. This is what he wants. A place of connection where he can be himself without fear. As I took in the view, a realization surged through me. We wanted to protect him, but maybe we needed to let him find this safe space on his terms. It's not about control. It's about love, letting him know we're here without overwhelming him. In that moment, the scene expanded, leaving behind the garden to reveal memories from our past happy moments, gatherings with friends and family, laughter and light. The memories wrapped around us like a warm hug, reminding me of the richness of connection. I think I see it now, I continued, the words flowing easier. It's a balance we need to find. We can support him by respecting his space, but also by inviting him to open up. Jake's expression turned thoughtful. Finding a way to connect without pushing him away, it's important. That's what the compass was telling us. A soft breeze carried the scent of blooming flowers, swirling around us, intertwining with our emotions like a warm embrace. In that moment, I felt a wave of assurance. Designing our garden should be just like building our relationships. Each flower represented our love, and each space maintained a respect for individuality. With this understanding, the sky transformed from gray to brilliant blue, sunlight pouring down as the memories settled in our hearts. Whatever challenges come next, we can face them together, I said resolutely, turning to Jake. We've got this. The landscape around us began to shift again, slowly fading into a vibrant cityscape, bustling with people. It was clear now that we were stepping out into life, ready to embrace the world beyond the boundaries we had built. As we released each other as hands for a moment, I took in the beauty of the community surrounding us. We can create an atmosphere where Oliver feels safe, where we can encourage everything he is passionate about, and we can share it with the world. Jake nodded enthusiastically. Yes, we'll welcome everyone here. Our community can lean on our garden, and we'll build something together. My heart swelled with love and determination. The journey hadn't just been about healing, the storm had fueled our transformation, igniting our desire to reconnect. I'm grateful for the storm. It led us to this, I said quietly, looking at Jake. Let us take what we've learned, share it, and bring our family closer. To be a safe haven together. Just then I spotted Oliver approaching. A smile stretched across his face, bright as the sun. Mom! Jake! Come see! He called, pulling us toward the garden we'd worked on together. As I locked eyes with Jake, a feeling of pure joy surged. This was the moment I'd longed for. A future where we stood united, ready to navigate whatever storms life threw our way. The warmth embraced us all, wrapping around our little family like the flourishing blooms in our garden. This was where we belonged, a space cultivated by love, respect, and understanding. And in the distance, the horizon glimmered, revealing endless possibilities. We could write our own story, weave dreams into reality, and find connection not only within each other but within our community that had shown us the power of togetherness. And with that, I took a deep breath, whispering a quiet prayer of gratitude as we stepped into the brightness ahead. Together. Now, don't wait another second, this is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and comment your thoughts and feelings about this ending. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Real fans understand the importance of supporting the channel,